Like if I'm not doing something, I'm lost in my mind. What cooking and working in the restaurant business provides you, there's no downtime. You don't have time to think.
That's why you love doing pre-lit too. Same thing, you can't shut it off.
You can't shut it off. And sometimes to a detriment now, right? Because I'm chasing what I see as success, even though I couldn't even tell you my definition of it. So I don't know if I'll ever get to it.
You gotta define it, man. Welcome to this episode of Bourbon Proof, where we interview those who have been both successful at law and life. And today we're super honored to have someone that came from coast to coast today, Mr. Joe Volta. How are you, brother?
I'm great, man. Glad to be here.
And of course, our esteemed co-host, the Mauro Fiore Jr. of the law offices of Mauro Fiore Jr.
Well, I changed the name of my firm years ago. You're way behind. It's Fiore Legal now.
Yeah, okay. He also stole his logo. If anybody wants to look, he shares a logo with like 10 other people.
Not 10, but there's at least 2 companies with the same logo.
Yeah. You're a trailblazer.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to start, as we always do, with the pour, and this is a special episode, which we're going to get into, as this is going to be a non-alcoholic episode. And Joe's going to share with us some of his demons and triumphs, and he's now known as like the lawyer in Carolinas for any referrals, because we do a lot of work together. Other lawyers send it to you through Justice HQ and Attorney Share. So, I'm a big fan of Joe Volta. So we're going to hear your story and how you came to where you are today. And let's go. So we're going to start with this one.
Let's do it.
This is from Free Spirit. It's called the Spirit of Bourbon, which is interesting. But it says it's made in American oak with yellow dent corn.
You would know more about that than me.
I don't know what that means.
No idea. Let's do it.
You can use it later to strip wallpaper too.
I mean, this smells like my laundry.
So when I drank, it was only clear liquors. I couldn't do the dark ones.
Maybe you should have.
Maybe I'd still be on the sauce if that's what I stayed.
That is a statement I've never uttered, that I couldn't do the dark ones.
Cheers. That smells terrible.
Maro's does the brown.
Mm-hmm. I've had a lot of non-alcoholics, and this one is like the least shitty.
I'm about to say it has kind of reminds me of Jameson, because when I worked at a bar, that was the only free liquor the owners would give us.
I don't know, this tastes terrible.
We
will not be sponsored by Free Spirit. But if you'd like to, you can send it, we'll drink it.
I mean,
it kind of tastes like a little bit like apple juice, a little.
But it's very spicy at the end.
That was what reminded me of the Jameson.
Yeah. Well, Joe, thanks for coming on. I mean, we're here filming in Santa Barbara today.
That's right.
Beautiful, rainy Santa Barbara.
Yeah. Every time I come here, it rains for some reason. It's like...
Yeah, I was a little disappointed because where I was, it was raining, and I was like, I'm going to California. And I get here and look at the forecast. It's 55 and rainy, so...
You give us an idea of your operation now that you guys got going on in Carolina. I mean, I think when we first met, you were not...
Yeah.
You didn't have your own firm at the time.
No, we first met. I kind of did the Bob Simon approach to Gary Dordick is kind of how we became friends, right? I always was bothering you. I met you on like Clubhouse.
Clubhouse. Did you do Clubhouse?
Back when they had Clubhouse.
Is that like during the pandemic?
Yeah,
and people would hang out and stuff? Yeah, I did a little Clubhouse. I got banned from there, but that's another
we need to share that story. Yeah, I didn't have any social media, and my buddy Justin Wright told me to get on there, and then so I met all these attorneys, and basically it was shortly after I became an associate and moved to the Carolinas, and I don't know, I just kind of started meeting tons of different lawyers, and like the way my comp structure was set up was basically like the more you bring in, the more business you bring in, the better you do financially. I have a wife and 2 kids, and so, I want to take care of them, right? And that's kind of how it all, came to fruition.
So when did you actually leave as an associate and be a part of your firm?
Let's see, 2023, I got a really lucrative offer from another firm, and I ultimately backed out of that deal that they were offering me, and I started my own firm because I was bringing in, more cases than my bosses were. And so I had my own firm for 3 months, and then my boss at the time, he had a general practice firm with another attorney that does business law, and they basically spun off the practices, and we started our firm in June of 23.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was that leap of faith like, man? I mean, shit, you had some stability there, probably a pretty sweet offer. And
yeah, it was tough, to be honest with you, because I felt bad. Like me at my core, like I don't like disappointing people, and so I had to, grow a pair and basically call the guy that offered me this really great, job and tell him, thanks but no thanks. And it was a really hard thing to do, but I think he respected it. He still sends me work to this day, and it was really stressful in the beginning having. I mean, I think I had. At the time when I left and started my own firm, I had like 150 cases.
Wow.
And trying to manage all that by myself. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize when they start their firm, of all like the ticky-tack stuff that you have to get in line. Even if it's just a virtual firm and you're working at your house, there's still all kinds of products and services that you need to open a company. And then I was still kind of counsel too.
Yeah, you end up being like business of law most
Everything.
of the time. I mean, it's just a lot.
Your IT, you got to figure out how to make all your computers work. Get all your cloud stuff set up. I mean, it's like even little things of, I need to buy Adobe, right? You need an Adobe account, right? So that kind of stuff was very difficult. And then when my partner came and offered me let's join up, it kind of it helped me short circuit some of that earlier growing pains. And he's kind of a mentor to me too. So.
Yeah, and you're seen as more like a rainmaker. I mean, I know you work the cases. I mean, if anybody works with Joe knows that he's actively working all of these cases from the beginning, but also bringing a lot of them in.
Yeah, it's wearing a lot of hats. I'm actively trying to fire myself, and I don't hold my
I like
from
that.
all these different positions. I don't hold myself out to be some crazy, trial attorney that's gotten, major verdicts. I have been to trial. I've taken cases to trial. I've gotten my teeth kicked in at trial. It's a very humbling experience, and I've won some trials. And I'm actually a published Court of Appeals, attorney, which is very surprising. The opinion's so terrible, I don't even understand it.
I mean, that means you got to be a good writer too.
Apparently someone thought I was.
So I was on a plane with Morrow last week, and I meant to get video footage of this, but when he types on his computer, he's one of the guys that goes like this.
Pecking at the keys. I saw you with your mail as well.
Yeah.
On that. It might have been the same episode.
I think to myself, even when I'm pecking around on my keyboard, I said, fuck, I have been pecking around on the keyboard almost every day for 25 years. You figure I learned how to type by now. But I don't know how to type.
I can't type without looking at the keys. So if I have to transcribe something, it's very, very slow. If I know if it's like a stream of conscious, I can type pretty quick, but it's not.
But I will say that my pecking is so fast now, since I've been doing it so long, that I can type pretty fast.
Would you say you're a fast pecker?
Very fast pecker.
Very fast pecker.
Very fast pecker.
Short and fast pecker.
Yes.
No, I swipe also on my iPhone, so I can do one hand while I'm driving, just with my thumb, communicate very quickly.
Oh, what, swipe to text?
Oh yeah. Do you do that? It's
No.
the best. It's the best.
Sometimes, but I'm more of a...
But I travel a lot with Bob, and he gets such a kick out of. I always have a bag full of mail with me.
I saw you walking off. It was all rubber banded up and everything. Like, what was that about?
Well, I go through mail, I separate it into piles, and then I have certain piles that I can take with me. Like if I'm going on a plane, I know that I can take this rubber banded mail, and I could go through them on my case management software on the plane if there's internet, and I can do a lot of work that I need to do.
To his credit, are you on Case Beer too, weren't you?
I'm on Case Beer.
So is Morrow.
What do you do with the mail though when you're traveling? Like you guys were just in Miami, so what do you do?
He literally gets on. I'm waiting for. So the story of Morrow is like I'm one of those guys that gets to the airport first, and like I don't want to leave it to stress.
Yeah, that's a horrible feeling.
He's the last one on the plane. And I'm like, where the fuck is he? He's just in the lounge. He's hanging out.
No.
And like he's sitting next to me.
I'm not going to have a heart attack, but I'm not in a hurry. I don't give a fuck. If I miss the plane, I'll get the next one. I'm not in a hurry for nothing.
I've never missed a flight in my life.
Yeah, no, I'm the last guy to have a heart attack.
Said that.
I'll tell you that. I'm not in a hurry.
But he comes in and like, he puts the one bag up top. I was like, I'll get your other bag. I'll put it up. He's like, no, I need this. And he throws it down and he has to crawl over me to get to the seat. We're sitting next to each other and he opens up, he goes, I got my mail. And it was a backpack full of mail. It's just like,
well, I mean, I have
just
a, I
it
have
was
a
at least rubber banded.
I have a
It was rubber
methodology.
banded.
I mean, I don't know. Everything in my office is scanned and put in files. You know, I have a COO and we have all the technology and everything. But I was a sole practitioner for years. I've been practicing law since the 90s. I've been doing this shit a long time. I have the way I like to do stuff. So they don't shred the mail. They give it to me. And then after I look at it, then we shred it.
But you lugged it around Miami.
Yeah,
it
just depends on where I'm at. If I'm out of the office for a few days, I'll take a bunch of it with me. But like I look at letter. Like I get the stuff from let's say for example, what I was doing on the plane. All the mail I had on the plane were for cases that were signed up within the last like 30 to 45 days.
What are these like letters?
So I look at the letters, and there's things I look at like I look at the name of the insured. You know, Mr. Chang. This Chang has good insurance usually. You know what I mean? So, for an example, you know, so then I look at
down that road. I look at people's addresses and I look at their house.
Well, first I look at their names.
Based on their house.
I look at their names, and then I look it up. I look at their addresses, what city. Oh, he lives in Arcadia. Okay, now we're talking. You know, so I do stuff like that.
Policy,
so then I start looking at that stuff, or if they're commercial companies, I look up the companies. I read that. I look at the insurance companies because I know from the carriers if the cases are one that I need to look at or not.
So are you still working files and cases?
Not really. I kind of pay attention to it. Like Sarah Tamas, who's the COO at my office, she always says, you know, she's worked at a lot of firms and she's been in the business a long time. And she says that for someone who's been doing it as long as me, and I have the infrastructure and I have supervisors and everything, that she's really surprised how engaged I am in the actual practice at the level of where my practice is. Because I'm very engaged in it. You know what I mean? I'm not checked out of it at all. I really like to be involved.
And Joe, we've talked about this like for years. Is you want to be eventually at a macro level, but right now it's hard to get out of the weeds and also see it from the trees. Right?
Scaling is extremely difficult, and I mean I think people make it seem like it's easy, you know, or you look at people who have done it and it seems like it's easy. It's harder than working cases. So in my opinion, for me, it's, you know, that I've realized, like trying to grow a team, teach systems, implement technology. It's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, and I know you implement technology. I mean, we're here at the Even Up Summit. I know you steal cases off attorney share pretty quickly because I try to alert you, and I know you got a good one from one of our friends, but like, what are some things that you could tell listeners or viewers that you could do? You started your firm not even 2 years ago. Some things that you put in that you think were successful.
So you want to know like system-wise or getting case-wise?
System-wise, because getting cases, we'll talk about that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So system-wise, I mean, you got to have a case management system. I mean, when I started off with my now partner who was my boss, we did not have a case management system.
That's crazy. I mean, I still know to this day there's firms that don't have.
He's very like you. Like he likes getting the mail. I'm trying to move more toward, like, our office is a hybrid model, right? We have a lot of people that never work in the office. Me, for instance, I'm some in the office, some work, you know, from home. But my partner, he's every day in the office, and we have a couple of people that are every day in the office because he wants them there. To your point, to open the mail, put things in certain files, and we used to have like manila folders or Redwells. I have no cases any longer that have those. Yeah. My partner, all his cases still have them. Like you couldn't find, like if I take a case to trial, it's like, all right, I'll just print everything off our cloud. But you couldn't find a case file in my office that I'm responsible for.
So what's your process like?
So if it's something like the mail, we have an intake person who sets up the file and scans it in, and we use OneDrive and CasePeer, right? And we save everything, and we have it all, you know, formatted out with correspondence, intake paperwork, etc. You know, you figure out what's best for you if you're stealing this for an idea. And then once we have all that set up, basically you have a case manager that like helps, or if it's a litigation file, we have a real paralegal. I know some people call their case managers paralegals, but we actually have like, you know, trained paralegals that went to school for it, and then they run the cases with the attorney. That's pretty much how we run it.
Love it, man. Let's do the next pour, because we're going to open up and talk about your sobriety journey, and then I'm going to talk about one of the things I think you do best is networking and bringing in referrals. So
all right, let's do it.
So this is called Ritual Zero Proof Whiskey Alternative. So we'll see. It says all oak, vanilla, caramel, and the heat of whiskey without the alcohol or calories. You know I'm watching my calories.
Oh, obviously.
Me too.
Watch them go.
And it says good for 12 weeks after opening. Well, I'm going to definitely put that on my calendar.
You're taking that home with you from the conference, right?
Yeah. I couldn't find any Roundup at Home Depot the other day, so I might take it home with me.
Were you trying to get cancer and be a claimant against Monsanto?
They took the Roundup off the shelf.
I mean, this one smells better though. Let's see.
Cheers.
I don't know.
Let's see.
Tastes just like the last one.
This one's better.
No, this one's smoother.
This one's better.
Oh man,
that last gulp was pretty hard to like take down. It doesn't even have alcohol in it.
These two are not like I mean, we've had some other ones that were really bad. They're getting
Oh
better.
yeah, they're better.
They're not alcoholic.
We had one that tasted like a Fireball when we did it with Mike Bogle. In Atlanta.
These aren't
But these are only 5 calories a pour and 10 calories a pour.
But I want to know is who's buying this to drink it is my question.
I don't know.
Like I've been sober for 14 years and never have tried an O'Doul's because that was like the thing that was out because I've been sober that long. But like, who does it?
I have friends. I have a good friend of mine who used to drink a lot, and now he drinks that like non-alcoholic, like O'Doul's, or there's one called Heineken Zero.
Oh yeah.
And he says it really does take the edge off. Like when he thinks about drinking, he'll have a couple of those, and it's
also a hand prop.
he's
Some
okay.
people just like to be in a social situation. I just want to ask you this because for me, when I'm in a social situation, I always have to be drinking or have something in my hand. And sometimes I will put a tonic in there with a lime so I can tell people I'm drinking gin and tonic, but like I got to dial it down.
Sure.
So what's that like for you?
So that's funny you said that. That's exactly what I do. So when I first started or when I first got clean in 2010, so for like people that don't know, so like I had a really bad problem with Oxycontin, right? So like that was my drug of choice. I started using drugs when I was, freshman in high school. It was kind of like, and then it just matured into or progressed all the way into that. I always thought that if you did heroin or crack, you had a problem. So like those were the things that I didn't do. And so I thought what I was doing was fine. And so in 2010, I went to rehab for...
Were you in law school now? Or is this
No,
after a while?
I have a culinary degree. So I was working and in restaurants, cooking. And so I just had a culinary degree. And then I got clean in 2010 and I went back and I went back to school and had to get 2 more years of college, and then I had law school. So I went 5 years straight. And college and law school is actually pretty easy when you're a responsible adult. You know what I mean? I thought that college was a complete joke because I was 25 and these kids were like 18. And so, I mean, I already had, I felt like I had all my shit together by then. And so it was fairly easy.
Were you in Maryland at this point?
Yeah.
Where in Maryland did you go to school?
I went to University of Baltimore, and then I got my culinary degree from a community college.
Wow. And now I'm wearing the Steelers jersey here today.
Yeah, we need to talk about it. I think we should probably cut this episode short, and everyone should look at Bob's jersey and, just be disgusted because those colors just don't go well together.
As a Ravens fan, he's very envious of the black and gold, especially my boy Jerome Bettis, who probably ran over Ray Lewis a few times.
I highly doubt that. We need to find some cuts of that to post. But, purple is the color of royalty, and, yellow is the color of mustard, and mustard is disgusting.
I don't like the Steelers either because my Cardinals' only Super Bowl appearance ever, they lost to the Steelers in the last fucking play of the game.
I remember.
And I was at the fucking game in Tampa, and Cardinals haven't even sniffed the Super Bowl since then. But
no.
So fuck this.
Larry Fitzgerald scored too quickly.
Yeah, he scored
did,
with like,
like
a minute.
I remember where I was during that because I was working at Mick O'Shea's, an Irish pub in Baltimore. I was cooking at the time.
This was 2010.
Yeah, it was
2009.
Yeah, but it was I think the Super Bowl was in 2010 though.
Yeah, I hadn't gotten
2009
clean yet,
season.
so that was right at the end of my journey. I was supposed to be off. The bar owner told this other guy that worked there, because I had more seniority than him, but he was a Steeler fan. He was like, if the Steelers make it, Joe, you got to work because we're going to give him off. And I was so bummed because I had finally gotten that seniority. And then I hate the Steelers. Steelers are in the Super Bowl. So it was like a triple whammy. But the bar owner at least put a little TV in the kitchen for us. So I got to watch the game, having fun in the back. Yeah. That was like right at the end of my journey.
So are you crediting the Steelers for helping you reach sobriety?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I'm a big... Anthony Bourdain fan, and I've read some of his books and stuff, and he always talks about how the guys in the kitchen are so fucked up.
Yeah, so that whole culture...
He said it's just the worst. Everybody's on drugs, gambling, booze. They're just degenerates.
Yes. But the crazy thing about like the way I am is, like, if I'm not doing something, I'm lost in my mind, right? And what cooking and working in the restaurant business provides you, there's no downtime, right? Because you don't have time to think. Like, you just have to, like, the tickets are pouring out and you just have to do them, right? Like, you can't stop to think. And so it's almost like that chaos almost calms my mind. And so that's what I really loved about the restaurant industry.
That's why you love doing pre-lit too. Same thing. You can't shut it off, man.
You can't shut it. Like, and sometimes to a detriment now, right? Because am chasing what I see as success, even though I couldn't even tell you my definition of it. And so I don't know if I'll ever get to it. And like, that's like another thing that,
you gotta define it.
races in my mind. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's a tough place to be. You know what I mean?
Well, the Oxycontin, I can tell you, I don't think I've told Bob this. My dad had a surgery. I can't remember what kind of surgery he had. He had a pretty big surgery, and they gave him some Oxycontin. This was probably 7-8 years ago, and he didn't want to take it. My dad was tough because I don't want no pain meds. So I stole it out of his house. When I went to visit him, he had it. It had already been like a month since the surgery. I knew I wasn't going to take it. I took it home. I took one Oxycontin, and I was just like, whoa.
You just feel this.
I was like, now
rush.
I know why these fuckers' teeth fall out.
Oh, man.
I flushed it down the toilet. I said, this is nothing I
I
need
still like this.
around.
It's like,
it gives you the most euphoric feeling, like you're gonna, like you could fly. It's fucking crazy.
After every surgery, I'll do it for one day just to like take the pain away, and after that, I got to get this out of the house. But it's but it also, the thing it constipates you, dude. And it's like, I remember like that was the worst part for me.
So my GI tract is awesome.
So is mine. And that's why I was like, if I'm not regular for one day, I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah, no, I've never had that problem. That euphoric feeling is what you're always chasing, and then you just need more and more.
It was
more.
unbelievable, man. So I got rid of it. I said,
Most people, this is how fucked up I am. So I enjoy having to get surgery because I try to fight the anesthesia, even if it's for like a couple of seconds, because you get that same feeling. If you fight, like when they're trying to knock you out to go to sleep, and you can feel it like coursing through your body. I don't know. That's how
That's what he does, but with like whippets.
My favorite song of all time is Eminem's "Drug Ballad." That was basically my life from 14 to 25.
Wow.
I mean, I love talking about it. It is what it is, you know. And like I've actually been sober longer than I used.
But what was the catalyst? Did you have a low point or just like a wake up moment?
I mean, I have friends that were dying, and I didn't like the person that I had become, you know? And then my wife, like, really, you know, I wanted to be better.
Were you married at this point?
No. We got married on 11/11/11 is our anniversary. But in 2010, I mean, I've been with my wife since we were 17. And so I met her in 2003 at college. I mean, if you think of like a drug house or a trap house, like that's what my house was like. And it was, I don't know, I always thought that I was successful even then. And then I don't even remember what it was, but I just had this epiphany of like, this is not success. And so I went to my parents' house, told them I needed to go to rehab. And my dad did really well for himself. And, you know, I'm a silver spoon kid. Mm-hmm. And so like they sent me to rehab. And I had 3 months clean, and then I relapsed in LA at a Dodger game, visiting my friend who was out here. It was the first time ever in my life that I felt like I did something wrong. I never felt like when I was drinking or using drugs that I was doing anything wrong. But that one relapse, I felt like I did something wrong. And so I haven't used ever since that day.
Wow. So what's the rehab journey like when you're in rehab? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, I went to a place. I wanted to go to some cush place down in Miami or Florida or Boca where all the rich kids get sent. And my parents were like, nah, you're going to go. I went to like a farmhouse in Richmond, and it was primarily for recovering gambling addicts. And my dad knew of this place because they had to fire some attorney that was like stealing money from their office's trust account. Because my dad's a lawyer, right? And so he knew of this place. I was their first drug patient. I went there for like 2 weeks, and it was, you know, hanging out with a bunch of people that were like Gambler Anonymous. I really learned how to play Monopoly the right way because they were all like focused on how to do that stuff. And so, yeah, that's...
What icon or what symbol were you when you played? I always had the same thing. When you play Monopoly, I always had...
I don't care. I just take whatever. I mean, if I had to pick, if you're asking me right now what I'd pick, maybe the hat. It was the first thing that came to my head just now.
I was always the iron. I like to put the iron right on the point of the arrow when you start. It was like good luck for me. It was the iron.
Okay.
People were always fighting over the dog or some other things. Give me the iron.
Yeah, no, I didn't care. It was whatever.
Yeah. Maura, what's your favorite board game? I never asked you this. I know we play a lot of Uno, but it's not a board game.
I like to play Uno, but board games, I mean, I used to like to play Risk a lot with my friends.
That's a good one. Great. Long game, though.
Yeah, we used to play Risk. And then if it's like just for fucking around, I mean, I like to play Hungry Hippos.
I always lose. My kids always lose all the balls.
It's too loud, man.
My Hungry Hippos doesn't have all the pieces anymore.
Yeah, they never do. My kids lose most everything on Nolan. But yeah, we like to play Hungry Hippos or they have a new one that we've been playing. It's a bluey game called Keepy Uppy, where like they have to keep this balloon up in the air. It's an
But is that
interesting game.
Is that a game where you can't just buy a balloon?
Wait,
No, it's
I
it's a
thought-
board game called Keepy Uppy.
That's what your wife said that you guys, the two of you play. Keep
Yeah,
Me
we
Uppy.
play that all the time. That's when first she prays.
Oh, God. I don't have any problems with that department, thanks.
So from GI Tracks to Keep Me Uppy. So Joe Volta, no problem. So Joe, you're now a year and a half into
What's the name of your firm?
Chandler Volta.
Chandler Volta.
And you guys are in Raleigh or?
No, we're based out of Charlotte.
Charlotte?
I have licenses in Maryland, North and South Carolina. And our associate that we just hired's got licenses in Georgia, Virginia, West Virginia. So we pretty much have like half of the Eastern Seaboard.
Mid-Atlantic. I think Joe's the
Mid-Atlantic,
Mid-Atlantic
yeah.
guy. So
And but I mean, I would probably say like of our inventory is probably like 60% North Carolina, 35% South Carolina, and maybe 5% other.
Any of those states have like damage caps or anything like that?
South Carolina, they're trying real hard to
We
reform.
won on that.
Really? When?
Yes,
Recently?
Recently. It
Had it been in the past
got
day or
like
two?
shut down. It was a couple of days ago.
Oh God, I was
Kenny
so.
Berger posted something about it. So they're, I mean, maybe win is the incorrect word, but
Yeah.
South Carolina, they're trying to do some tort
So
reform.
Kenny Berger, so he's also in Justice HQ. There's a good contingent of Carolina lawyers and very active on they were testifying in front of their state and just showing how bad tort reform is, how they're lying about how much money that they're losing.
Yep.
It was powerful stuff, man.
I can't say better things about Kenny. I mean, I met him at a CLE. Just went up to him and like congratulated him on the great settlement that he had in litigation with Nick, where they got the $26 million. And he was like, "Here's my number. Call me anytime." And he's kind of like a South Carolina mentor to me because my partner only has a North Carolina license, and so I've had to figure all this South Carolina stuff out on my own. And between him and my buddy Jacob Bourne and a couple other attorneys, they let me basically pick their brain. And
So we're going to take the last part of this episode to talk about how you bring in business, how you network, and if you do it through golf and how you're able to do those things.
Yeah, so I would say anyone out there that's either starting or they get comped based on how much they collect, right? Obviously, in the personal injury space, it's a strange space because we're basically on an 8 to 10 month, lead time if it's a pre-litigation case, and then you're on year lead time if you're doing litigation, right? So I started it again with social media, reaching out to just random attorneys that I liked their content, and I would either DM them or get their number and call them, or even emails, right? Because everyone has Outlook open on their desktop most of the time. Going to events and then just talking with people, right? And I think Chris Voss is going to be here, right? Never Split the Difference. I use a lot of his techniques with mirroring and letting other people talk, and I don't want to say seem interested in what they're saying, but having a conversation with people is really helped me to network with other attorneys. And basically, I tell lawyers, if you send me cases in the Carolinas, you don't have to do anything, and you'll get money in the mail. And I've never once hosed anybody. And so your reputation is everything, right? It takes a long time to build it, but a second to destroy it. So, if you're just putting that out there, trying to get referrals from people, never host somebody, because that'll spread like wildfire. And never be good for you.
Yeah, and Joe, you do a really good job of just being a good friend to people. Like when we watch football on Sundays, we're texting and talking shit about our teams. Even little things like that make the world of a difference.
Yeah.
You don't have to be talking about cases or law,
No.
just like other stuff, man.
Finding an in with people. So like that was like my in with you when I found out you were a Steelers fan, was like, oh, I'm a Ravens fan, we're in the same division. Like you can pretty much with everyone on the planet find something that you're that you have something similar, whether you come from a broken home, they may come from a broken home, and you guys can, find kind of some symmetry, and you have an in or a reason to talk to them. Right.
And what we've done at our firm is on attorney share, Joe's the top of our waterfall for what I call the Mid-Atlantic. That's how I named it. So it's like get first look at those cases. But we usually do at the end of these, what's your bourbon proof? But since these are two non-alcoholic, I'm not going to ask you which one's the better one. But now you've been sitting here for 30 minutes or so. What's the end goal for Joe Volta? What's your definition of happiness? You said you didn't know. You said you didn't define it, but what would it look like, and then how are we going to work there?
Man, that's such a tough question that I really don't want to answer it. It's at rehab. I used to say, I remember vividly telling someone, I just want to be happy. And he asked me that. He was like, well, what is that? What does that mean? right? I can still see the guy's face. I don't remember the dude's name, but I can still see his face. And we were like, I was just staring him back in his eyes, like I hated this guy for even asking me that. I have on my office for work purposes, like I have written in Sharpie on my glass door, 10 million. I really want to get to be an 8-figure firm. But getting back to like, is that someone else's definition of my success or what it is to be successful? So I almost sitting here today am thinking, do I need to reevaluate that? Like, what am I chasing? Why does it need to be 10 million? Right? Why can't it be 5 or why can't it be 50? Right? What's the limiting belief there? So I know that's kind of to use politics, that's kind of a political answer of saying a lot without saying anything. But I really don't know what that looks like, man. I do just want to be happy, but I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is. And it's part of my journey, I guess, to figure that out.
Wow.
Stress-free happiness, I think, if you can work your way back from there and just whatever it looks like for you, man.
I think professionally it's firing myself from more and more jobs and trusting more and more people to do, certain things and continue to grow the firm.
Delegate, trust, and be okay that it's not your way. Even if it's 80% good, it might not be the Joe Volta way, but
yeah,
it'll help you fire yourself.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. Well, Joe, thanks for coming on the show. We have a few sponsors, of course, Just HQ, Attorney Share, and we finally got trial guides to publish the trying disc injury books, which I hope is for every state. I think Joe's got a copy. Even Maro's mentioned in here.
It's in my backpack.
Really?
I read the foreword on the plane.
This is Maro's favorite page because it shows the dermatome map, and he just likes to look at the little midsection over here.
Well, it reminds him of himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for watching this episode of Bourbon Approved. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to Studio 3. Thank you to our producers, Outlier Creative Agency. Thank you to Megan Morneau, our producer. Thanks to Joe Volta for coming out.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for I don't think anybody sponsored the whiskey, but if you want to sponsor the whiskey on the show, please reach out, especially if you are Whistle Pig or E.H. Taylor or anybody at the Buffalo Trace line. Mara, who else do we want to be sponsored by?
Old Fitzgerald.
Old Fitzgerald. Keep it going. What else do we want?
Well, obviously, anything at Lord and what's it, Brown and Taylor?
I just said that.
Oh, I missed that.
This guy's not even paying attention.
No, I am.
He didn't even drink yet, and he's falling asleep.
I know. Yeah, I don't fall asleep as much as this guy makes it out to be.
There's some rando places.
Yeah, they
it's
do
a
have
talent.
on video.
I'm impressed.
It's a gift from God.
I agree.
All right. To 0-17
Cheers.
to the Ravens.
Hey,
Just kidding.
we got quarterback. I don't know about y'all.
So we'll check the wire after the show.